Hey, it's Regina here from Tarot and Time in Kent, Connecticut. Let's jump into the month of June using tarot and astrology for everyday living. So, June is named after the Roman goddess Juno, and Juno is the goddess of child or marriage and childbirth. So, this is a feminine month. Let's talk about it. I'm really happy about June because I'm excited for all the retrogrades to be over. Now, yes, we do still have a Pluto retrograde going on, but Pluto is one of the outer planets called a generational planet. And so one of those generational planets, they're always in retrograde. So when I'm talking about being happy that the retrogrades are over, I'm talking about the personal planet retrogrades, the ones that are closer, the one that affect our everyday living a little bit more so. So those are Mercury, Mars, and Venus, all that have been going through the retrograde period starting in around like end of September, October of last year. And the Venus retrograde was the one that held out the longest and affected us till mid-May in its shadow period. So that has come to a close now. We can look back and see what we've learned, especially, I've been talking about our relationship with money, our relationships in general, our own self-value. Now, yes, we have a Pluto retrograde. It's going to retrograde back to 0 degrees of Aquarius. It will not re-enter Capricorn. So all you Capricorns can relax a little bit. It's not going to come back to your sign in your lifetime, but it is going to go back to the early degrees of Aquarius. So some of you Capricorns are still going to feel that if you're later degree Capricorn, meaning born later in the sign, which would be like the January, mid-January Capricorns. So does that make sense? Yeah. And so then we have Pluto, the planet of transformation and change, going back in degrees in Aquarius, back to basically taking us back to the end of November when Pluto finally made its way into the sign of Aquarius, which was more towards the end of November. So we'll see how that affects us, but let's enjoy that the personal planets are direct. This is the only month that the personal planets are direct because we go right into a Mercury retrograde next month. And we know that retrogrades mean that the planet is moving along, gets to the retrograde, moves backwards in degrees, goes direct, and goes back over the same ground. So it's covering the ground 3 times over. So actually, when the Mercury retrograde starts in July, it's going to bring us back to June 30th. So we are going to be revisiting what's going on, but just at the very tail end of this month. So let's jump into the month. We're going to be having a nice Sagittarius full moon this month. We also will have a new moon in Cancer. And this month contains one of the luckiest days of the year. And some astrologers say that it's the luckiest day since 2002. So that's 23 years ago. So let's find out what that's all about. All right, so we're going to start off where we left off last month, which was June 2nd through June 8th. And on June 2nd, Monday, June 2nd, the moon will be in the sign of Virgo, and it's the first quarter Virgo moon. And so, the first quarter is starting to gain coming out of the new moon. And it's starting to build momentum. And so can we. So can our projects. So can our lives. The first quarter Virgo moon on June 2nd is going to be square, 90-degree angle, abrasive action, the sun in Gemini. Okay. So my advice to you for June 2nd is to target what you want and go for it. All right. This is a great time for all things like Mercury related, because those squares are 2 signs in the Mercury. They're both Mercury ruled, right? Gemini and Virgo. This is a great time to write, to public speak, to problem solve, because Virgo is the great analyzer. It's a great time to present your case. And it's also a great time to win at games that include hand-eye coordination. So take advantage of the square. We don't always think about squares as being helpful. Take advantage of this time. Now, of course, don't push too hard because it's a square, but with ease, if you take precaution, you can really get what you want. Okay, so target what you want and go. On Tuesday the 3rd, I wrote down, don't let the past stand in your way. What you are seeking for doesn't live there. And that's because the moon's going to be conjunct the south node, the cup of the past. And so we know that, yeah, we can learn a lot from our past, but we don't want to live there. And so sometimes when the south node is involved, I'll notice sometimes that things will feel really familiar, or I'll get a little sense of deja vu. And sometimes I find that South Node activity can be really interesting. It can connect me with people, certain people. But I also find that sometimes when the South Node's involved, those are the people that I don't want to be connecting with. So be aware. I feel like sometimes it comes in as each extreme when you're dealing with the South Node. Now, on Wednesday the 4th, Venus is going to be sextile, positive aspect, the planet Jupiter. And Jupiter is just getting ready it's going to finish up its time in Gemini. It's getting ready to move into the sign of Cancer. It's been hanging out in Gemini for a solid year. And wherever Jupiter lies is where it makes things bigger. Okay, so if you have wherever Gemini is in your chart, that's where the planet of luck and blessings and expansion, and it's related to higher learning. And that is where Jupiter's been hanging out for a while. Now it's going to start to make its way into Cancer. So let's enjoy the beautiful Venus energy on June 4th when Venus in Aries is sextile Jupiter in Gemini. This is a great time for romance, for collaborations, for big business, and for harmony. Anytime Venus is involved, especially in a positive aspect, there's so much harmony and peace and joy and beauty. Remember, Venus rules all the beautiful things of life. Relationships, especially relationships with women, because it's written as a symbol for women, and jewelry and clothing and all that fun stuff, along with like beautiful meal, a garden, harmony, peacemaking, diplomacy. This is all Venus related, and Jupiter is going to expand that and make that even bigger. So I say get out and about, because Gemini does rule your local community. It rules the people around you. So share the love there on the 4th. Now, on the 5th, there's energy for reuniting with past friends and making peace, laying the past to rest. And this Venus energy is going to carry through into the 5th. But we also on the 5th have Mercury in Gemini, sextile Mars in Leo. So Mercury is the planet of communication. The planet it rules merchants, it rules roadways and pathways and delivery of information in its own sign of Gemini, where it functions very well. Sextile, which is a positive aspect, Mars, the planet of action, in the heart-based sign of Leo. So this is a good time for reuniting with friends, allowing in the love, laying the past to rest in relationships. Okay, so if there's something that maybe you're looking to clear up from the past, this is a great time to do so. Now, Venus moves between the 5th and the 6th into its own sign of Taurus, and it does very well there in its own sign of Taurus. So we're going to go into beautiful Venus in Taurus season. This starts on Friday the 6th, and when Venus enters its own sign of Taurus, it's a good time for prosperity, stability, security, and peace. It's a beautiful time. So just really try to take some time out of your life and slow down and enjoy it, and enjoy the harmony, especially on Friday the 6th. Now we'll head into a Scorpio weekend. And so we know that when the moon is in a water sign, that we need a little more rest, right? Scorpio is very, very psychic sign. So our intuition may be heightened. You want to pay attention to the non-verbal. Okay. And we're starting to have planets move into the water sign of Cancer, where Sun will be heading there and Mercury's heading there. and we're heading to a full moon. So things are intense and emotional. So pay attention to the nonverbal on June 7th, Saturday. And then June 8th, make sure to get some rest because on June 8th, Mercury, the planet of communication, moves into the water sign of Cancer. This is considered a psychic placement. So if you have Mercury in a water sign in general, that would be Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, then you have a psychic placement. And a lot of people who are into this kind of stuff, I have Mercury in the sign of Scorpio. A lot of people are drawn to this kind of thing when they have Mercury in a Cancer in the sign in a water sign. So enjoy Mercury moving into the sign of Cancer. It's a great time for rest. Great things can happen in your sleep. We do a lot of healing in our sleep. We're very open. We can receive messages in our sleep. This is a great time to keep a notebook by your bed and write down the messages that are coming through. Good time for rest, healing, therapy, kind words, especially to yourself, poetry, and developing our psychic abilities. So get some rest as much as you can during the season. This is vacation season that we're starting to go to. So I hope that I see you kind of lingering in a hammock. So enjoy it. Now, keep in mind that we are heading to a full moon, and we know things get intense when we're heading to a full moon. Let's pick a couple cards for you. And I got a couple great decks here that I'm working with. Let's pick a couple cards for the week ahead. Haven't looked at any of these yet. Let's see what we get here. This is my new favorite deck called the Magical Hours Tarot. This one just came in recently, and I am so drawn to it. We have it in stock in Kent. This is the Morgan Smith classic kind of tarot deck. Couple tea leaves here. I'm really loving this tea leaf fortune card. Oh, that's a lot of tea leaves. Let's just go with those two. And then I am working with another oracle deck. Oh, here it is. I forgot to put the box up here. It is the Queen of the Moon Oracle. So let's see what you need to know this week of June 2nd through June 8th. And we've got the 10 of Swords. And I have to say, I think this is one of the prettiest 10 of Swords I've ever seen. It looks like she's taking like a moonflower shower. And she's got all these swords in her back, and she's got probably feeling really overstimulated. And those swords are all thoughts. Okay. So we know, we know Mercury is making its move into the sign of Cancer. And when I think of swords, I think of Mercury. I think of communication and the way we communicate with ourselves. And so she's really just kind of like, she's really pierced by the swords, but she's basking in the light of the moon. So there's a lot here. Feels like it could be very overstimulating, but it also feels like something shifting. Okay. And so taking a look at what's shifting, let's see what else we've got. We've got the King of Swords. Now, the King of Swords, more swords, he's the king of air, the king of big business. He is a very analytical king. Interesting that he's holding the sword. She's got all these swords in her back. Let's see what the rest of these cards are. We've got the Wisdom card, the Waning Gibbous 6 Wisdom. She's standing on a bunch of books, and she's in her little boat, and she's reaching for the moon. Wisdom. Okay. Now, the Handshake card, it says a meeting with a stranger could be important. Handshake. And the Rooster, an arrogant, boastful person you should not cross. Interesting. Okay. So you get meeting with a stranger could be important, but then you get arrogant, boastful person you should not cross. We've got a lot here about kind of being stabbed in the back. We have the King of Swords who's there, who's no nonsense, who's not going to take any garbage. And then we've got almost like this, it feels dreamlike here, this Wisdom card, reaching for the moon. It's card 22. And I'm going to pull just a couple more because I'm kind of getting that, like, maybe you're doing business with someone, but maybe you have to be careful because like maybe you're seeing them in a good light, but maybe there's some lights that you don't want to see them in. I think that it, you're picking that up naturally. Here's the Page of Wands. So the page is young energy, Wands is fire, and she's kind of looking out to see where she's going to go next. So whatever this relationship is here, don't put all your eggs into this basket, because it's like something could be important, but also don't, like, the whole South Node thing is what is making me feel here like, yeah, maybe there's something important that you need to learn from this person coming into your life, but don't get too involved, and know that there's like a shadow side here that maybe you've been familiar with in the past, but it's like it's coming up again, like wisdom. Did you learn that, if you stand on a pile of books in a boat, you might fall? If you're reaching for the moon like that, you might fall into the water. If you get into this relationship again or give it too much trust, that you might get hurt. That's what I'm getting. I'm just going to pull one more. The Hierophant. And I like this Hierophant because she looks like a young woman. And she's got these guys are holding like the symbol for an eye, like the evil eye. And so there's a form of protection here. And the Hierophant is the higher power. And it's also someone like a great advisor. So it's like, have you learned? That's basically what I'm getting. Okay. So make sure that you are using your intuition, which is so strong this month, and to guide you. Okay, so we move into the week of June 9th through June 15th. And we know that Jupiter just moved into the sign of Cancer. It's going to be there till July 1st. Jupiter's considered the guardian angel. And Cancer is, it's like the mother energy. It's watery, nurturing energy. Now, this is going to be a year of luck for Cancer because Jupiter only spends a year in your sign. And so Gemini's had it for the past year. And now, Cancer, you're going to receive Jupiter. And this is going to be a good time for sharing good fortune, sharing abundance, for higher purpose, for home matters, and for fertility, because Cancer is like the mother. And Jupiter brings in luck, and it brings in growth and expansion. So if for some of you, fertility may be more, babies and all of that. But for others, this might just be your projects, your ideas, the definition of yourself, that seed that's being planted that's going to grow. Okay. So this is a fertile time for your projects, for your ambition. All the Cancers out there are going to be really lucky to have Jupiter in their sign. Now, Monday the 9th, go slow, okay? Because the energy is a little wonky in the morning. Go slow in the morning, but the afternoon picks up speed. So you're going to feel a lot different by the afternoon. So the moon will be in Scorpio in the morning, and then by 10:56 a.m., it moves into Sagittarius. And, there's a square with Mars in the morning, but then there's a trine with Mars in the afternoon. So you might, don't try to push to get things done in the morning of the 9th. Just wait till after lunch and things will pick up speed for you. Now, on Tuesday the 10th, we'll have the moon in Sagittarius. It's making some nice trines with Saturn and Neptune that are in the early degrees of Aries. So on Wednesday, June 11th, we have a full Sagittarius moon, and this is at 3:44 a.m. It's at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, so check out your chart and see where that falls. This is a great time to go through old photos and embrace the good memories. And Sagittarius loves freedom. So if there's a picture that you don't like from the past, you can either take the original or make a photocopy of it and burn it over your toilet and flush it away. Okay, it feels really good. It could free a lot of things up for you and celebrate your freedom this full Sagittarius moon. Now, also on the Wednesday, the 11th, Mercury in the sign of Cancer, Mercury the communicator in the sign of Cancer is sextile, positive aspect, with Venus in its own sign of Taurus. This is a beautiful time. This is when important people can show up in your life. This is a good time to accept social invites, to enjoy your relationships, to broaden your contacts, and to follow that gut feeling. Because as we talked about, Mercury in the sign of Cancer or Mercury in any water sign is considered a psychic placement. That doesn't mean you need to run out and become a psychic. It just means that your intuition is going to be heightened during these points, especially if you have Mercury natally in a water sign. So trust that feeling. It will guide you in the right direction. Enjoy the socialness that Mercury loves. Cancer is like a house party or a beautiful meal, a dinner party. And so expand your social contacts and allow important people to show up. So we move into Thursday the 17th, and we just have a kind of a continuation of that energy. So enjoy your relationships on the 12th. On the 13th, that's Friday the 13th, with the moon in the sign of Capricorn. Enjoy the harmony while it's here. And we move into an Aquarius weekend, and it's Father's Day weekend. Now, we know that anytime Aquarius is involved, you just never know what's going to happen. So be flexible. It definitely won't be dull, but especially be flexible on Father's Day because there's going to be a square with Venus, and Venus rules relationships and it rules women. And Mars has got a square going on with Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius. And we're coming off of the full moon and things can just be moody. Okay. So just be flexible with dad. Maybe find out what dad really wants to do. And maybe it's just something simple and you enjoy it. All right, now let's pull some cards for you for this Father's Day week. And let's see what you need to know here. I haven't looked at any of these yet. And let's see what we got going on this big full moon week, but also a lot of beauty this week with these nice aspects with Venus. Okay, we've got 2 tea leaves. And let's give us, what did I do with that pile? Of the Queen of the Moon Oracle. All right. So our first card is, it's the World card. Oh, and I like that look at, she's standing on like what's like a sprouted bean. Jupiter in Cancer. That's what I was talking about. That I was saying that that's a fertile time. And how not all of us are, fertile, like baby fertile, but we're talking about sprouting our new ideas. And then this card shows up where it's literally sprouting the world. Okay, this is a beautiful card of success. This is a Capricorn card. We know the moon will be in Capricorn this week. And I'm never sad to see the World card showing up. Okay, so this is our card of the week. The World card's the last major arcana, so it often shows us completion. Also has themes of big business, things paying off over time because it's ruled by Saturn. All right, let's see what else we've got here. We've got the Knight of Swords. So we've got a knight all geared up, ready to go. And he is the knight of the mind, the knight of air. Okay. We also have got the Bat card that says, take care, enemies are working against you. The Moon card, which says changes in your life. And the Man card, dangers or relationships with a man. No, not dangers, dealings or relationships with a man. Okay, so we know, well, it's Father's Day, so of course we're going to see relationships with a man is a theme this week. And then the moon changes your life. Okay, we're coming down off a full. And this Bat card, take care, enemies are working against you. Okay, and then we have like right with this Knight of Swords, it's all geared up here. So, I'm not going to fear monger here about anything, but I do think that there's been a little bit of energy that showed up last week also of just not believing, like almost like not believing people have changed. Like I feel like there was energy last week of people showing back up and maybe they're like, oh, I'm different now, but they may not be. And you want to pay attention to that. Okay. I see some conclusions here and like the moon card says, change in your life, and you just may have to draw some boundaries. That's really what I'm getting. See what the oracle is. It says purity, snow moon. So big full moon in the background, a big release, purity. Okay. So yeah, it looks like some things are coming to a close. Maybe a relationship's coming to a close. Maybe your relationship with dad isn't super great. And I know I can relate to that of having to like gear up to be around certain people, and maybe that's some of the vibe here. But there's some changes, and you have the purity card that you can come out the other side feeling refreshed. Like, look at that woman in the background right there. She's like, looks like she's almost doing a sun salutation, right? Her heart is open. She has released. Kind of feels like the judgment card in a way. So don't get too discouraged about some of these cards here. The World card is a really positive card, and I see you just moving into new territory for the better. Now we move into the week of June 16th through June 22nd, and this is our last week of the sun being in the sign of Gemini. We're going to head into Cancer season. This is the week of the summer solstice, so this is really exciting stuff, okay? Summer is coming. We'll be heading into a new moon by the end of this week. Now, remember, the sun is going to move into Cancer, and we already know Jupiter's hanging out in Cancer. So this is a really exceptional time of the sun conjunct Jupiter. It's going to make things big. So let's envision the joy being really big. Now, Monday the 16th, as the moon continues in the sign of Aquarius, moving into the sign of Pisces mid-afternoon, we have a lot of spontaneous energy going on. So anything's possible there on Monday the 16th. On Tuesday the 17th, we want to use our head versus our anger. And some of this is because Mars, the planet of action, is going to be moving into the sign of Virgo. Now, Mars is all about full speed ahead, taking action, and it's a fireball, right? And it's moving into leaving the sign of Leo and moving into the analytical sign of Virgo. Virgo is a mutable earth sign. This is a good time to be industrious, organized, and critical. It's a good time for advocating for human rights, using your head versus anger, and expressing yourself through writing. Okay, or speaking up, but making sure that it's well thought through, because Virgo is going to analyze everything, and we want to choose our words wisely. So on Tuesday the 17th, use your head versus your anger. On the 8th, surprise realizations, coming to conclusions of a situation as the moon enters the sign of Aries in the evening, 7:08 p.m. on Wednesday, the 18th. Now, Thursday, big conversations being had Thursday, the 19th, as we move into Friday, the 20th, and the sun moves into Cancer and summer begins. And the summer solstice happens, so we can celebrate the weekend of the 21st and 22nd. The moon will be in Taurus on Saturday and really pretty much Sunday until about 11 o'clock at night Eastern Standard Time. So Saturday, the 21st, the moon will be together with Venus and in a Venus sign. How great is that? Enjoy Saturday, the 21st. Sunday, the 22nd, you got some helpful friends at work, and we will be heading to the new moon. It looks like a beautiful week. Really good stuff. Venus, the sun, we've got Jupiter hanging out, all sorts of good stuff. Okay, let's see what the cards have to say for you this week ahead. Haven't looked at any of these yet. My beautiful Magical Hours Tarot. I even love the backs of these cards. They just feel like so art deco, I guess that would be. All right, let's see. We're going to pull a couple tea leaf cards because it took me a long time to finally purchase one of these tea leaf card sets. I don't know what took me so long because these things are great. I'll also do a Queen of the Moon Oracle. And let's see what we got here. So our first card for the week ahead is the Six of Swords. And from the Magical Hours Tarot, and we know Six of Swords is about moving forward. Her boat is made out of paper. It almost looks like paper airplanes. Somebody folded that up. There's writing all over it. There's swords in the back. Those are all thoughts. And it looks like she's got the moon in her hands. Okay, so this is a beautiful analytical time with Mars in Virgo. Mars wants to get things done. Virgo's about health, wellness, contribution to society. So we have a lot of forward movement in that way. This is a great time also to like make doctor's appointments, take action regarding your health if you want to join the gym, although I know that's probably not what you want to do in the summer because you can be outside, but just making sure that you are, putting health and well-being in the forefront. Now, your second card is the Chariot. So you've got two vehicles of motion, right? You've got a boat moving forward. You've got this charioteer here moving forward. The Chariot's a major arcana, major secret of life card. It's ruled by the sign Cancer, so it's ruled by the moon. So the Chariot doesn't move forward on gasoline. The Chariot moves forward on intuition. So make sure that you trust yours, that you honor it, that you listen to it. The Queen of the Moon Oracle is New Moon Beginnings. Love the archway. Almost look like an owl up there. I don't think it actually is, but it looked like one to me. So it's stating new beginnings. We know we're heading to a new moon. I like how everything looks cold and snowy out here, but in the middle it's all green. Okay, so there's new energy, and this is a beautiful thing. Let's see what your tea leaf cards are. You got the Yoke card. Feeling tied down or frustrated. And Camel, persevere and you will overcome problems. Okay. It's interesting though, like yoke to me, isn't a yoke a term for like two people getting married? Isn't that like a Bible term about the yoke? So, and then this is card number 2. I don't know. It's kind of getting relationship vibes from that. And so maybe like having a helper, right? Because isn't yoking putting two together? And if you persevere, you will overcome problems. Okay, so keep moving forward. The Chariot is here. The Chariot is said to be overcoming obstacles. Okay, it helps you overcome and move full speed ahead. So I think you've got this. This looks like a good thing. Now we move into the final week of June 23rd through 29th. And boy, oh boy, there's a diamond of a day this week. So we'll get to that in a second. So we start off on Monday, the 23rd. The moon's in Gemini. The sun is square Neptune. Okay. So the sun's all visible in the nurturing sign of Cancer, which is called the good mother. The sun in Cancer, the good mother. There's bonding, there's love. It's a cardinal sign, and it's square Neptune, the planet of illusion and delusion, in the sign of Aries, the coach dad, or the American cowboy, as some people call it. And so there's a square, and there's two cardinal signs squaring each other. So it's like caring and nurturing versus combat. And so we are going to have, we're going to feel like we're in one extreme or the other extreme. Are you being too hard or not hard enough? Okay. So you can end up feeling overparented, or you can feel like you've been overparenting your children. And you just want to look at, what are you compensating for? What are you trying to hide? And just kind of make sure that you re-examine your position on things. Okay. Now that day sounds hard, but the next day is just stellar. And so Tuesday the 24th, you got to mark your calendar. You want to mark your calendar in big stars. If you can take the day off, take the day off, whatever you can do to enjoy Tuesday the 24th, because it's considered the luckiest day of the year. And I heard one astrologer saying that this is the luckiest day since 2002. Okay. And that was 23 years ago. So very interesting. So the reason for this is that the sun is conjunct Jupiter. And Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. Okay. So it's its best placement. And Jupiter is going to be Kazimi, I guess is how you say it. Kazimi, Kazimi, which means it'll be at the same degree. So Jupiter and the sun will both be at 3 degrees of Cancer. So look up where 3 degrees of Cancer is in your chart, because that's where your luck is going to be through the roof. And if you have any other planets at 3 degrees, that will be very interesting. And just pay attention and take note of the 24 hours of just luck on June 24th. So enjoy that. Now we go into a Cancer new moon the next day on the 25th, and it happens at 6:32 a.m. on June 25th. This is a 4-degree Cancer new moon, so it still will be conjunct Jupiter, which is going to be a lovely thing. This is a good time to rest. This is a good time to visit your old family home. Like if you are able to take a drive and go see it, that would be a really good thing. Spend time with elders, with the older people in your family. This is a great day to do ancestor research, especially in the women in your lineage, because Cancer to me is the mother, right? Or the grandmothers before. Honor your roots and trust your intuition, because your intuition is going to be through the roof right now with all this water energy, water season, and Jupiter. They are making bigger. So happy new moon on the 25th. Mercury, the planet of communication, is moving into the sign of Leo on June 26th. And it's going to spend a really long time there, more than it usually does. This is because of the retrograde that's going to happen in July. Okay, so Mercury will be in Leo for an extended period of time. So Mercury to Leo is zealous, bold, and loyal. This is a good time to speak up, to be true to yourself, to speak from the heart, to make heartfelt decisions, to draw the line with friends and coworkers. So this advice is while Mercury is direct, and Mercury will be, even though it'll be a direct this month, starting on June 30th, that's going to be part of what's involved in the Mercury retrograde in July. So basically, I would start taking note of what's going on from June 30th through the retrograde, because that's the territory that's going to be revisited. Okay. So it's fun to keep a little journal of what's been going on. Thursday, the 26th, this is a great time to speak up when work offers will be coming in. Let's see, the 27th, the moon will move into Leo early in the morning. Strokes of genius, intuitive flashes, receptive audience, people who help. Not a bad thing, okay? Some really good energy in this month of June. So Saturday, we'll move into a Leo weekend, well, at least a Leo Saturday. By Sunday, the moon will move into Virgo. So on Saturday, act on what you're sensing. There's going to be a square with Venus, so it's not as harmonious. You're going to have to compromise a bit in your relationships and make sure that you don't overlook your relationships on Saturday, the 28th, your love relationships. Sunday, the 29th, always check the fine print, and the moon will be moving into the analytical sign of Virgo. And we're going to have, let's see, we have a couple cool things happening that day. Mercury is going to be trining Neptune. And, you know, every time Mercury and Neptune have been trining in the past, like 10 years, it's always been in water, because Neptune was hanging out in Pisces for 14 years. Now we know that Neptune just moved into Aries, right? So we're kind of going through this adjustment period of these planets moving into Aries. Neptune was there for 14 years. Saturn just moved into Aries. It was in Pisces for 2.5 years. So we're in new territory, and this is our first Mercury trine Neptune, and it's going to be in awake and alert, forward-thinking ideas, intuitive flashes, impulse urging you. Okay, not rash decisions, but you're going to just feel impulses, and it should be invigorating. So on the 29th, which is Sunday, Mercury is going to be opposite Pluto. And we haven't heard a lot about Pluto this month, except that it's in its retrograde. Mercury opposite Pluto. Always check the fine print. Trivial discrepancies that you might tend to ignore, but you need to question everything, or you will have to pay the price later. Okay. So if you're signing any contracts, if you're making any deals, if you're negotiating your relationship, make sure that you pay attention to every last detail because it's really gonna matter. Okay, let's pull a couple cards for this week. See what you need to know. Such an interesting week with the luckiest day and the new moon and a lot of Jupiter energy. So don't get too concerned about Sunday when you had all this great week, right? All right, let's see what we've got. Let's get one oracle out here. And let's take some tea leaf. It's like a big stack, tea leaf tarot. Or no, it's just called fortune cards, but I really like them. They're really fun. Okay, let's see what your first card is. It's the Page of Pentacles. I love how she's kind of just standing over what looks like a farm or something down here. It almost feels like she's young and she like almost like wants to buy that farm or that's her family home. And she's kind of overlooking and overseeing it. I also get like she's almost like an ancestor of that farm. And she's there and she's holding it in value and she's like almost like protecting it. It's really beautiful. We're talking about like visiting old place that you lived. That's what that reminds me of. Okay, now we've got the Five of Cups here. We see some sadness, some emotional loss. You know, we've got a lot of planets going into water signs. So that can happen because when things get watery, things can get emotional. There's still two cups standing there. He just doesn't see it yet. So maybe having a good cry, but also knowing that there's still some options and relationships available. Got the gratitude card. And it looks like, you know, like a child holding a grandmother's hand or something like that. We're talking about, I think, was that last week that we were talking about visiting, visiting family, visiting our elders, kind of going into the also last quarter moon gratitude. See what else we've got here. We've got the wishbone. A wish is granted. Well, it's a pretty lucky week. So, yeah, make sure that you make some wishes. And especially with that new moon, make sure you're doing moon water, right? Just fill, I'll just take a mason jar, fill it up with water. And sometimes I'll write my order or my wishes and put it underneath the water and then just like leave it in a wind. Okay, this is a great time to do that with this lucky energy of Jupiter this week and also with this new moon. So a wish is granted. Beautiful thing. Woman, dealings or relationships with a woman. Okay, well, maybe there's an important woman in your life here. Like I said, that had like grandmother energy to it to me. But yeah, okay. So there's a relationship with a woman, or maybe, maybe you just have a good friend that comes to town or something like that. Let me just pull one more card about that woman card. It's the Lovers card. Okay. So if you're looking for love, this is a good week for it. It really is. It's the luckiest day of the year. So if you're looking for love, you might just get lucky this week. So enjoy it. Enjoy your relationships in general. Enjoy the beauty of the month of June. Keep in mind that Mercury retrograde is going to start next month. I think it's mid-month. And so enjoy the harmony of this month. So, in summary, I'm excited about June. I hope you are too. Lots of opportunity, lots of joy. It's exciting to have the planets moving into the sign of Cancer. It's nice to see that when you look at a chart now, everything's not just scrunched together. For over the winter, we had like a lot of planets scrunched together between Pisces and Aries, and we had planets in Pisces for such an extended period of time due to all the retrogrades. And now we're moving into fresh territory. Like I said, some of these planets, like Neptune, have been in Pisces for an extenuated period of time 14 years. It's changing signs. Saturn's changing signs after 2.5 years, or has just changed. And so Pluto changed signs just a few months ago. We're going into new territory. And yes, it's difficult. There's a lot of difficulties in this world, but we're going to be able to start to see more clearly and see where we can give and what difference we can make. And so enjoy. Thanks for joining me.